everybody, I'm SJM. Welcome back to some Vault Hunters. Between episodes I ran a couple of more vaults, got a couple of more levels. The points that I've been spending on in here, I got the heal spell and then I increased my vein miner up to level 2. And now I've got 3 more skill points to spend, which I think I'm probably going to start working on my damaging spells, because there's more and more enemies spawning out of the spawners in all of the rooms. So I think I'm going to be taking Nova. This is the other one that I used in the past. I really like the Nova, and then eventually when we get enough points to get one of these, I think it's this one, the Toxic Reaction. Every time a mob that's poisoned dies, it will give a poison nova, and it casts it at our level. So if I get this guy right up to level 10 or whatever it goes up to, 12, 10, something like that, we'll get that level of poison nova, so we can kill great big groups of enemies at a time. So we can go around a room, activate, as many points of interest spawners as we can, like on the floor or whatever, like on the upper level, the medium level, or the lower level, and gather them all up, maybe pillar up even, cast a nova, and then when one dies, another nova go off, and so on and so forth, and they just kind of chain kill all each other off. It's worked well in the past, so that's what I'll be going for in this playthrough as well. But there are lots of other skills in here to look at and use and go with, so that's completely up to you. Just check what some of the things are here that kind of enhance them. Like you got Javelin, you've got Intelligence here, so you can increase your ability power. This will make your skills hit harder, so on and so forth. I did take that second mastery point at level 10 to get my level 5 fortune. So we've got a level 3 pick with +2 from this fortune here, so now we're at fortune 5 for mining up all of the ores whenever we need to, which I actually went and got done now because we needed to get quite a bit of Beniatite so that we could get some knowledge stars going, which we'll cover in this episode as well. Things to look out for as you go up in levels. So obviously, as I mentioned before, the number of mobs that spawn out of each spawner start to increase. They'll also get higher levels, so you'll get right now we're working on like tier 1 mobs, and then you can get tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, so they have more health, more damage and armor, and then eventually, and then I think pretty soon here, maybe level 20, we'll start getting ranged weapons or ranged enemies as well, which just adds to the complexity of them all. At level 10, the monolith vaults opened up, so I did one of those prior to this one that I just completed. And the monolith vaults just recently changed, so now as you're going through the rooms, there are randomly monoliths in the area. They're little campfires, something, and then when you click on them, they'll have an effect. So a positive modifier and a negative modifier. I think the one that stood out to me was the first one that I saw, which was it had -2 health, but +1 regeneration. So that, I lost 1 heart for that vault, but I ended up with +1 regeneration, never even had to heal throughout the whole vault there. So that was quite the nice boon there. And then once you complete the requisite number of monoliths, then you need to escape the vault. So you'll need to remember which room you came in from to get out, unlike the elixir vaults where you just have to find a lodestone. And from there, you can escape. But if you don't escape right away, then you do have the option to keep going through the vault, and then activating more monoliths, you can get more loot from some of them. You can get, and then modifiers. The most common ones I saw was like plus gain some loot, which was just random stuff. I even think I got an echo gem out of one, which is the rarest gem that you can get in all of the vaults. Where is it? Is it in here? I got 2 echo gems out of those things, which is really unusual to get at such a low level, only level 14. I got 2 echo gems already, which is pretty crazy in itself. But the negative effect was that it took a minute off of my timer. So there's positive and negatives to what they call pillaging. The further monoliths that you find, or the campfires, whatever you want to call them, in each of the vaults. There are other kinds of vaults a little bit later on as well, which is Hunt the Guardians, which you'll go into a room and there will be an obelisk in there, which you click on, and there will spawn out a number of not boss enemies, but definitely quite tough enemies. And there'll be a mix of melee and ranged ones, and they can be quite challenging to take on. So you'll need to develop some kind of strategy for taking them on. If brute force isn't because sometimes brute force isn't really necessarily going to get the job done for you at the end of the day. That last vault that I did, or that last bounty that I did, was getting a whole bunch of Larimar. So in that last vault, I kind of went in with the mindset of I need to find rooms that have a good amount of ores in them. So there are certain rooms where like maybe 8 out of the 10 or 8 out of the 12 points of interest in the room will be ore style points of interest. So you'll be able to find lots of the ores in there. So I went in there and I've got tons and tons of this vault stone now, so I should have no shortage of chipped rocks. And I got quite a bit of the random gems that you'll find inside. So Alexandrite and Wootadite, these are crafting gems. Escalium and Ashium, those are a couple of the Xenium, those are the Pog gems. And so on and so forth, as well as finding 23 Eniatites and 47 Larimars inside the thing. Also, my bounty was to mine up Larimars, so that was the other reason I was primarily looking for ore-style points of interest in that last vault. So sometimes, depending on your bounty and whatever, you might want to just, pass on some of the normal rooms, looking for the special rooms, of which there are quite a few different variations in there. So definitely go ahead and keep going on those. And then even, if you wanted to look at more rooms, you can kind of like go halfway down a hall and see if the room up ahead looks special at all. And if it doesn't, you can turn around and check one of the other branches out there. Along that lines, you're going to want to have maybe more advanced navigation system. And that does come with the knowledge and opening up some of the researches here. So in which case, that one research is a vault compass. This is one of the best things to get if you're new in the vaults. This is one of the best first ones to get because this will point you towards the portal room. It won't tell you if it's this side of the portal room you want. So if you're on the opposite side of where the entrance is, you'll still have to skirt around the outside to find the direction that you came from to get back into it. But it will always point you towards the middle of the vault. And speaking of the middle of the vault, I'll do a small illustration of how the vaults are laid out so you can have an idea of it in your mind. So I'll be back here in a minute with some janky paint action. All right, we're back with the super janky paint edition of vault layouts here. So there's 2 shapes for the regular style vaults that the vaults can spawn in. It's the diamond shape or the square shape. And so both of these are examples of 3x3 vaults, which you even at the smallest size, like at level 1, the minimum size is 5x5. So they're usually a lot bigger than this. I just wasn't going to take the time to draw them all out just to for this illustration purposes. But you'll notice, say in the one vault that I did at the start, I went straight ahead, and when I got to the end of the vault, there was 3 sides that were blocked off. So that means that that was a triangle type vault. The triangle vaults overall have a less number of rooms. Obviously, we're missing 12 rooms over the square style. And these can be quite a bit easier to navigate, because if you go to the end of a hallway and you find 3 closed off sections, you know you're in the middle, and then you just have to go back all the way straight one way, and you'll hit the middle eventually. Just note that from the starting room, obviously there's only one direction out, whereas all these other rooms will have exits going in and out of them this way, right? So this for sort of an example, right? So these off corner rooms will have 2 exits coming out of them, and then when you get back towards the middle, they'll be blocked off on these 3 different sides here. So that's it. There are other vault types that don't have any configuration, so something like a cake vault, where the next room doesn't open up until you've found the cake in the first place, and then it will only have 1 exit, well, 2 technically, the way you came in, and then a way to move on to the next room. So, and then those, they do have patterns to them as well, but it's not something I'm covering here in this episode. But just for illustration purposes, these are what you can look for your vaults. And another reason why I prioritize speed already is because now that I'm up over level 10, the vaults are getting larger in size as well. And it looks like we have some visitors. Just run here and do this, get rid of the rain and the phantoms. So the last topic I was going to go on to was the quests. So in the last one there, we did the re-rolling gear modifier. So I just took one of my garbage ones, threw it into the reforging station, artisan station, and just clicked on one of the wild focuses on one of them. There you get so many of these that I did not too worried about just using one to finish off that quest. And then the next one, scrapping vault gear. So the vault recycler is not too hard to make. We just needed a lava bucket and another netherite ingot, and then some of this chromatic steel, which is pretty easy to make at this point with all of the carbon that we're finding from vault to vault. And what this guy does is it will break down your equipment and give you back resources. So it will give you sometimes focuses, but you'll almost always get vault scrap. And then depending on the durability level, as I hinted to earlier, you'll get different amounts of the vault scrap. So maybe my gear piece only had 50% durability left, I might have only gotten 1 vault scrap back out of it. And I'm not sure if that lowers the chances of getting a focus back out of it or not, but that's just the way that goes. I'm not 100% sure on that. But obviously when you're doing this, you're going to have tons of gear that you want to recycle. So it's probably a good idea to set up some automation for this. So just a hopper leading into it and a hopper leading out of it from another chest. And you can get rid of all of this excess gear that you keep getting from quests and bounties. And then that bounty for mining all the Larimar actually gave me the 23 diamonds, which I need to go ahead and submit for this quest here, which will get me my elytra And we'll also demonstrate that I'll be getting really low-level gear out of that one there. So oh yeah, so now that I've got the quest selected, I just right click on it with the item in my hand, and that ate 21 of my 23 diamonds. And now I get the quest reward out of that one. And now I've got an elytra, which is going to make the next part of my adventure, or the next quest, that much easier. So these are both going to be level 0 because that quest showed up when I was level 0. So this quest here, if there was any gear pieces in it, it would be level 11, which was the last level that I opened up that quest on, or re-rolled it. So if I choose this one and I re-roll it, then it would have level 14 gear if gear showed up as a reward in there. But this has got lots of netherite ingots, and it's an easy one to go for, so that's probably the next quest that I'll do, but I'll wait until these, probably end up waiting until these roll each other, because the next quest is for this alchemy table. And this allows you to modify your potions, but the crafting, oh, didn't even queue it up. The requirements for it are ridiculous. We're going to need 18 chromatic steel. We're also going to need a gas tier. Obviously, we'll have to go find some jungle to get some melon, but the gas tier is kind of the big one, so we'll be going through the nether, which is the great reason why I wanted to get the elytra there. And then after that, it would just tell us about the burgers. It will tell us about vault objectives, and then you'll be able to make different seals. So just following along through the quests there. Obviously, it just tells you all about it there, but if you have any other questions about general concepts in the pack, don't forget to consult the Vault Hunters manual right there. And it will have lots of information in it as well. You can read through just about everything that's in there. It'll give you the general gist of everything. It's a little bit more in depth than what I've done for a lot of it, so it'll be useful to go in there and look at it even if you've finished watching all of my stuff. But yeah, just can't hurt to go through all of that. And yeah, now that I have my elytra, I can go and build my nether portal and be able to fly around there. Just note that the elytra can be put into here, so you can get your mending and unbreaking on it with very low effort, right? So bada bing, bada bang, just like that. And then the other thing is, in this pack, because we've got the dash spell, we don't even need rockets. So if I'm going around and then I hit dash, it acts like a rocket automatically. Obviously there's a lot longer cooldown, so rockets are a good way to supplement your fight, because until you get your dash up in a couple of levels, might not be enough to sustain certain height that you want to go in, but it's not that bad overall, really. It's really, really good, actually. So elytra is huge. That was one of the best things that could have shown up in the bounty table at any point there. So how are we doing on time? We've got a little bit more time. You can even use the elytra inside the vaults to scoot around real quick in there, but just be aware of kinetic energy, because that'll be the real killer, right? I don't need copper on there. This is all the loot that I found in the light the bonfires, the monolith vault that I was in. So I've got a bunch more gear to roll to look at. Anything interesting in there? These blank seals, these are what you use to make different kinds of vaults. So if you just follow the uses on them, then you can see this will make a scavenger vault, this will make a hunt the guardians vault, this will make a architect vault. And these all are different kinds of vaults that you can find. So seal of the light the braziers, that's the one, not monolith, it's called light the braziers. Elixir rush is the standard one that we've seen so far. This vault is very expensive, it costs a pog. I'm not even sure what you can find in that vault, but that would be something I'd have to go and research for myself. Scavenger hunts are really annoying. One of the ones that I hate the most, not looking forward to doing those ones in the future. Hunt the Guardians are just difficult boss fights throughout the vault. Now you can range from 3 to like 12 different Guardians that you've got to fight at each of the stations, and the number of stations vary as well. You could have some with like 5 fights, or some of them with 8 fights or 9 fights, I think, even maybe more than that as well. Yes, so the last topic to go into here today is, let's clear out some of this stuff out of my inventory. And I do need this. Is knowledge. So knowledge is the, as I said before, the way that we open up the mods in the pack. And did I just factual get a 0 out of the first Beniatite that I mined? There's 1. There's another 0. I got 3 zeros. I am flabbergasted. Finally starting to get some more. Need 8 of those, and we'll need 8 of these. So a knowledge star is a knowledge core, which is a flawless Beniatite. It's kind of weird because 4 makes a perfect, and then 4 perfects make an extraordinary. I think perfect is better than extraordinary, but maybe that's just me. I think that might be an ongoing meme in the community, but those make a knowledge core. You surround the knowledge core with the shards, which are themselves just 9 knowledge essence in themselves. So that's how you make a knowledge star. And then we'll just consume that, and then we get a knowledge point. And that's used to unlock these things. So as I mentioned before, the Vault Compass is one of the best ones to get for new players, till you get your knowledge on how the vaults work and the layouts and whatnot, because this will always lead you back to the exit so you can get out. Another one that I usually take first is this first level of pouches to get the stack upgrades. And this will just allow me to, in my pouch, replace the void upgrade with a stack upgrade, which means each of these slots would be able to hold 2 stacks of items instead of just 1. So it comes in real handy when you're dealing with the super common stuff like carbon, vault platings, the bottle of enchantings, so on and so forth. Sometimes Larimar, so on, etc., etc. So that's usually one of the first ones I go for. And then after that I would go refill upgrade. Isn't so good, but can be there. But we wanted to get double pouches would be the next one, which will double the size of the pouch. So you can create extra pouches. Oh, you don't even need a research anymore to make pouches. Okay. You just need the ingredients. Yeah, I don't think this is locked behind research anymore. Let's take a look. Yes, so if you can't make something because it's locked behind a research, it will tell you so right in the tooltip here. So obviously we can make any of these that's not locked. So the feeding upgrades are not locked. Auto refill ones are locked. So yeah, that's because it's just so convenient to have more storage in there. That's probably, I'll probably grab the double pouches just to increase the number of slots that I get in there, because that will allow more flexibility in the items that I'm picking up in any one vault. And then obviously the way the research trees work. So if I purchase one of the upgrades in this category here, so say I spend 2 to get this junk management thing, it would increase all of the other ones in this category by +2. So where the stack upgrade costs 1, the double pouches cost 1. If I took one of those 2, then the corresponding other one, like so say if I took the double pouches, then the stack upgrade one would then cost 3 after that, because it would cost +2 extra. This is similarly with the big mods. They're a little bit expensive to start, but they just get more and more expensive when you have multiple of them, because each one after will cost an additional 12. So create would only cost 6 if I got it first, but say I got Botania before I got create, then it would cost 18. Storage mods don't have any extras. This is another one to go for sort of a little bit early. Colossal chests, so you can just make one big chest for all of your items, although that makes it really hard to find anything in it. Drawers, so you can store massive amounts of numbers of one thing. But the simple storage network is usually the first one that you want to go for, because then you can have a whole bunch of chests and connect them up to one terminal and be able to find anything fairly quickly. The other handy researches off the start, so yeah, there's the pouches, either stack upgrades or double pouches. I'd lean towards double pouches. The vault compass, if you wanted to stop mobs from spawning around your base, you could go for Torchmaster, but it's not super necessary by any stretch. If you know modded Minecraft at all, then maybe you'd think XNet is something you want to go for, but usually don't need that until you've got other ones going. Refined storage might be one you want to save up for, although this gets quite expensive to get into the mod itself. So another thing you want to do before grabbing a mod is take a look at how the cost of making the items in the mod itself before you actually select it, because say we picked up refined storage, but then I find I didn't have anywhere near enough of the basic resources like Beniatite or Alexandrite or whatever different kind of gems that we need, or if we didn't have enough chromatic iron or didn't have enough vault diamonds, so on and so forth, you may have just wasted your points. Wasted being in quotes, because eventually you'll be able to afford it, but you'll just have to go without anything for a little while, right? And then any other ones in here that are super interesting. So basically you can make the higher grade potions in the alchemy tab here. You can automate some resources with botany pots or easy villagers. You can make power with the power mods, obviously. Yeah, I think in the quality of life, waystones is another one you might want to get early, so you can have a waystone set here and say another waystone set at where you have a quarry set up for just a mining operation somewhere. So waystones is another decent one for the early game. But yeah, pouches, simple storage, potions if you find yourself in the need for the healing, and the vault compass are probably your primary choices for your first couple of mods here in the pack. That just about covers everything for this one. Let's take a look at what we got in our last vault there. We got some more gear. We got a regret orb. That's something that I got in the other one as well. These are super good because using one of these orbs of regret allows us to take a point out of one of our skills. So if I wanted to regret my dash because I didn't like it, I could just eat a regret orb, use the regret point to unspec it, and then I'd have that point to be able to put in to another skill somewhere that I like better. So the cost for doing those isn't too expensive. The recipe for these is you need some regret chunks and a perfect beniatite, and the reject chunks are just a bunch of regret nuggets, which we are getting in pretty good quantity even in the low level vaults. So you should have a good number of these pretty early, so you have the flexibility to go in and test out. Also, I was wrong about this jewel applicator in the last. I thought there was just the 20 slots here, but it's got a lot more than 20. So I'm just keep dumping all of my chip jewels in here to save myself on storage space on my chest. But even now, I'm finding myself needing 5 double chests, and we're only still basically pretty much in the early game here. That's everything I wanted to cover for now. The next one will probably be more towards the mid game, so I might join you back up after I get up to level 20 or level 25, and we'll go about explaining some of the items, some of the things that have come up in that interim there. Basically, up until level 20, you'll always have this beginner's grace. Because once you got to level 10, I lost the beginner's luck. There was another one. We always like when you're 0 to level 10, you get 2 beginner's grace and another beginner's modifier that stops trap chests. But since level 10 is passed now, I do come across trap chests, which either can poison you or they can spawn a whole bunch of vault dwellers to come after you somewhere. Like they'll appear somewhere in the room that you're in, and then they'll move towards you. So just be aware that trap chests start at level 10. But we got the beginner's grace up until level 20, so we'll always leave with all of our stuff. But after level 20, if you die in the vaults, then you will lose everything. So all of your gear, unless it has soulbound, like my vault sword here, and all of the stuff that you collected. So like your pouch and your magnet would all disappear. Anything that you had in your inventory would disappear. There is a mechanic to recover it, and it's going to cost you quite a bit of vault gold. But at least there is that option for you. Now I think I've covered everything. I've done enough rambling for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I appreciate you all. We will see you in the next one.